Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. First item tonight is council has before you tonight's agenda. Do I have anyone entertain a motion? Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're to council comment. Take that as a no. Staff updates. We'll start with Finance Director, Town Clerk.
No report.
Tax Collector Arlie.
That to me. I'm never ready. I just, besides the two reports on our regular agenda, the last few days we've processed in 3 days $197,000. Most of our mortgage company escrow accounts came through, and that brings us up to 52.22% collections.
An update from our Park and Recreation Director.
We got a few exciting things. So our playground repairs are 99.9% complete, and we expect to have the playground back open before the weekend. So that's really good news. Also, our bids came back in for our playground accessibility project, and they came back within budget. So we're really excited about that, and we should see work begin on that within the next month. So that's exciting. Otherwise, we do have our blood drive tomorrow. So the Red Cross bus will be parked out front between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. tomorrow. They are very desperate for blood. They had a bunch of blood drives canceled for the hurricane, and now that they're able to get back in. So if anyone is able and willing to donate tomorrow, they'll be here from 10 to 4. And lastly, Santa's coming. So everybody saves the date, December 14th. You can check our website, millsriver.org/Santa, to see if he's coming to a neighborhood near you. Really exciting.
Thank you very much. Malachek, our Planning Director.
Yeah, just a couple public announcements. Just wanted to put out to the public again that council passed the 1-year moratorium on the RV and camper occupancy for those who may have experienced damage with Tropical Storm Helene. This is not for temporary housing sites, but for individual properties. If you had damage to your property, you are able to, for the next year, to basically temporarily reside in an RV or camper. And we just ask that if you are planning to do so, contact planning staff and we'll help you out with that. Additionally, this has been put out there, but I want to publicize it a little more. Henderson County is collecting data on private road damage. So if you go to the Henderson County website, it's about the click on the Hurricane Helene updates at the top. It's about the 5th item down, a private roads damage information form. I don't know if that's been publicized much. It is critical that they collect this information as part of their damage assessments. There's no guarantee of private road repairs or money going to private road repairs, but the more accurate picture of damage they can get from this storm, there is a possibility of more funding coming down the pipeline to the county at a later time. So just wanted to put that out there. HendersonCountyNC.gov, Hurricane Helene page, and it's about the 5th item down.
And for clarification on the RV as a temporary residence, if it was a vacant lot prior to and during the hurricane, someone establishes the RV on that on that vacant lot, that is not approved council's action.
That's correct, and that's something we'd have to talk to at the staff level, because usually, specifically, we're talking about someone occupying a camper on a property that already has a single-family home and the private or public utilities to support that. So there'd be a little bit of concern if someone just parked a camper on a private property with no utilities present, and that's why we ask folks just to call us and check with us, and we'll work it out with you.
Thank you for the clarification. Now, Town Manager, Mr. McCarrihan.
Yes, sir. So I have a few items for council and for the public tonight. First off, as many of you all may have heard, the FEMA deadline for individual assistance was extended through to January 7th, 2025. So for those residents listening at home and those here, if you have not filed for FEMA deadline, they have extended that. That was just came out the other day. Anecdotally, I had a FEMA representative knock on my door the other day, so they are still in the town of Mills River, making sure that people sign up and make sure that they have all of the assistance that is available for them. Speaking of FEMA as well, we did have them as a town on site. So last week, there were about 6 of them between both FEMA and the state emergency management team, as well as our consultants. So we've started the process for our public assistance grant program, which will be assisting us with all of our reimbursements of damages as well as costs that were incurred during in the aftermath of Helene. That includes the future cleanup and repair and restoration of the back area that's currently closed off within the park. So we've started that process. We're going to continue that process. And my hope is over the next week or so, we're actually going to have a request for proposal drafted and ready to go to actually start getting work done in the back there. You know, these larger scale cleanups and projects actually take, you know, more time than what we hope will happen. But my hope is that we will have, we continue to move that ball forward and that we will be able to see work progressing over there in the coming weeks and months. The also talking about storm debris, again, anecdotally, I'll just say that storm debris came by my town, my house, and down my little neighborhood the other day. So they're still out there. If they have not come by your house yet, don't worry, they're going to continue to come out there and assist. But that being said, I know that probably on a lot of people's minds is still what's going to the next steps on the property buying here after council's actions, working with the county at the last meeting on setting up the storm debris removal site. And so I know that there are a lot of questions out there from the residents as well. So we as staff are working on lifting up a frequently asked question page that'll be available on our website. We're still working through that right now and what that'll look like. It'll take a little bit of time for us to get it going, but hopefully that'll answer a lot of questions. And then also for those that we think are going to be in direct effect of that, including Mills River Village, right behind us, that we'll be able to make sure that we're going to be sending out letters to them as well, just informing them, making sure we try to provide as much information, as much clarity as humanly possible during that temporary storm debris removal site. So that'll be something that'll be coming forward as well. Let me just check my notes here. The next thing that I'll just mention as when I first got here, there were questions about the AV and updating our AV, and I want to let council know, as well as those listening at home, that we are the storm kind of put us off track a little bit on making sure we could move quicker on updating our AV. But my hope now is within the next week or so, we started those conversations up again. We should have a temporary solution within the next couple of weeks, with hopefully a larger scale potential solution that we can bring in front of council into the budgetary process going into next year. But at least something temporary, hopefully by the December 12th meeting. And then last but certainly not least, this week I executed the strategic planning contract with the UNC School of Government to help us work through our strategic planning and performance management program that'll be kicking off technically in November, with a lot of background work, but then it'll be extending all the way into August. So we'll do an official in-person kickoff around early January, but between November and December, council, you will be receiving information about that. We'll be working with staff and then other stakeholders, both within the community and residents, as well as board members, other stakeholders, et cetera. We're going to start ramping that up over the next couple of weeks and couple of months. So there's very exciting news for the town. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope everyone else is. So I think that's enough for right now, but I'm sure if anything else comes up, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Mr. McCarrihan. Council, we have before us a consent agenda that we received on Tuesday. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to read through that. What is the council's pleasure on this agenda? First from Shay. Is there any discussion regarding consent agenda? All those in favor of approving this the consent agenda, please say aye. Opposed? That's
Mayor Pro Tem Young, if I may interrupt real quick, we do have public comment.
Yeah.
As
Uh,
well.
Councilwoman Gooder showed or pointed out to me that I skipped over public comment. Sergeant Player, was there anyone signed up? Let it be recorded that there's no public comments. For those that are in attendance and those that may be watching, part of our consent agenda was appointing Patty Brown as our town clerk. She's been our deputy town clerk for quite some time, and this has been part of the plan all along. So now on our agenda comes the portion where we actually are going to swear in Patty Brown as our official town clerk. So I'll turn that over to staff.
If you repeat after me,
Okay.
I, Patty Brown,
I, Patty Brown,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws of said state.
the Constitution and laws of said state,
Not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office as town clerk.
the duties of my office as town clerk,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Wait. You sure? You want?
Oh, we need both.
Congratulations, Patty, and as you well know, since you've been doing this for quite some time, you got big shoes to fill. For those that aren't aware, that our town clerk, from a time of incorporation till today, has been Sue Powell, has done a tremendous job. That we are a great debt of gratitude for all that she's done for this town, and Patty's got some big shoes to fill.
So proud.
We're gonna move on to our regular agenda. First item on our regular agenda is presentation of the tax collector report, tax release report.
So the report you have in front of you is for the month of October, which started out a little rocky. We actually didn't get any payments for the first 10 days. which was not unexpected. Actually, we did get a payment in the middle of handing out relief supplies. I had a lady come up to me and say, "I'm sorry, my budget payment is late." It was like on the 4th of October. And she said, but I don't know who to give this to. And she was talking to me and I said, well, I think I can take that and keep it safe for you and don't worry about it. So yeah, there's even people in the middle of a disaster trying to pay their taxes. So as of the 31st, we collected a little over $1 million, and the balance to collect was 2.8 million. And that comes out to a collection percentage of 26.57%. And of course, this week's collections made that percentage much higher. The second report I have is the release report. North Carolina general statutes require me to bring to the council or the governing body a report outlining all the tax releases that Henderson County has sent to me. It's $305.51 for the whole year up until the 31st of October. So those are my reports. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Do you have any questions? We love.
Questions, Ms. Taylor? Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
All right, next on our agenda is discussion of appointments to the Parks, Trails, Recreation Committee. Refer to town clerk.
Okay, on beginning December, I think it's the 8th, you'll have a vacancy on the Parks, Trails and Recreation Committee. The person that is currently serving is going to be unable to continue to serve. I have emailed council applications that we have on file. You have 2 applications on file. And so you have options. You can appoint from the applications on file, or we can advertise the position and address this at a future meeting.
Know what the council's desire is. Obviously, next meeting, 40% of the council is going to be new. I don't know if you want to table it, allow the new council to weigh in on it, or if y'all have questions about the vacant position.
Well, the applications have been there for a while. Has anybody checked for them?
I have not checked until council made a decision.
Well, would you want to take time for the next meeting to accept applications?
Well, you tell me. Any thoughts, James or Shay? That's Mr. Thean or Thyan
I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
and Mr. Clark. And the long-standing application. We asked if we could reach out to them between now and the next meeting.
Be happy to. I will be happy to do that. Do you want to make a motion to table that?
Have a motion on the floor to table the appointment to the vacancy of December 8th. Is there a second?
When would you like me to bring that back to you at the next meeting?
As a
Or-
reminder, the next meeting is the December 12th organizational meeting. It can be, if council so chooses.
If it helps, our next meeting will not be till January 20th. So we do have to.
If you'd like, I can bring it back to your first meeting in January.
So is that the motion to? So moved.
Okay.
And
Still
the
second.
second still support of that? All right. We have a first and a second on the motion to table the matter until the January meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Oh.
All those in favor of tabling till the January meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and also you have another vacancy. Jim Sawyer was appointed by town council on August 29th to fill a vacancy in a term created by a resignation. His term is going to expire on January the 11th. Mr. Sawyer was very excited to be appointed, so you could reappoint Mr. Sawyer to a term of 2 years ending January 11th, 2027, or advertise the position or choose from somebody on file.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Jim Sawyer to the Parks and Trail and Recreation Committee for a 2-year term ending on January 11th,
Thank you.
2027.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second, Shay. Is there any further discussion?
He's had one meeting since we appointed him.
He did show up
excited
and
about
did
being
participate. Yeah.
Is there anything else before I call for a vote?
All right.
Those in favor of reappointing Jim Sawyer to the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. On our agenda, we're going to move down to reappointments to the Board of Adjustments.
And I will defer once again to the town clerk.
This is coming back to you. We had brought it up at a previous meeting and it was tabled until this meeting. We have two members who are up for reappointment. One is Jeff Moore and the second one is Jim Foster. Of course, Mr. Moore, when he goes on council, he won't be able to serve on the Board of Adjustment, but he is willing to serve up until that point if council so chooses on December 10th. Yes. No, that's a hard board to fill.
Yes, well, apparently he's offered to serve as councilman. That is.
Yes, I've talked to him. Yes. Okay.
But I would, yeah, so it wouldn't be technically through December 11th, it's for the term. So you would appoint him to the term until he's no longer able to serve. And then that point, it naturally becomes vacant and therefore then you would have to, fill that vacancy in moving forward. So I wouldn't, my recommendation is not to put until December 11th. You would be appointing him to the term in which he's sitting. And then you would have to then, council would then have to reappoint someone else to finish that term in the future.
Apologize for getting mixed in there.
November 18th.
November 18th, yeah.
Would it be feasible to go ahead and do the reappointment and make it effective November 18th? Because will that not be after the meeting?
No, the
Okay.
meeting's December 10th. Yeah.
Well, let me, for clarification, let me allow Councilwoman Davis to reiterate her motion, because she had it right the first time. I messed it up.
It's,
2027.
A 3-year Board of Adjustment, 3-year, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Reappointment of Councilman-elect or Board of Adjustment? Hearing none. All those in favor of the reappointment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Again, Town Clerk.
Okay, and also, we have a vacant, as of November 18th, we will have a vacancy on the Board of Adjustment. Mr. Foster is currently serving as first alternate in that position. So you have the option of reappointing him to a term Once again, there's no applications on file, or we can advertise the position and address it at a future meeting.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Foster to the Board of Adjustments as the first alternate right now for a 3-year term ending on November 18th, 2027.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Do we do the alternates or they do their own?
You do them,
Is there a second alternate?
yes. I will be coming back to you in January to discuss the vacancy created by Mr. Moore being on council. So I'll come back to you and we'll talk about it more in January.
So in the bylaws, is there an automatic when there's a vacancy, the first alternate becomes a full-fledged member of the board adjustment, or does that take council action?
It's not in our bylaws, but has been our practice that council chooses who to fill that seat with, which you can choose either of your alternates or someone else.
Thank you. What is the council's pleasure? Did I miss a motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a first and a second. I just need y'all to vote on it.
Okay. As reappointing Jim Foster to the Board of Adjustment as first alternate. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Motion passes. Moving down our agenda, we're to item D as in Delta, adoption of ordinance 2024-14, correct budget amendment, fiscal year 2020.
Back in April, we did a budget amendment and moved some things around. So we had everything in the right place. I made an error that the auditors have caught. The actual document for the ordinance was missing a line, so it did not balance. The budget was correct, the entries were made correctly, everything was fine. It's just a piece of paper that was wrong. So at the auditor's suggestion, I'm presenting to you ordinance 2024-19, which would correct that error. And if you look at it, if you want to see, it's the line item in the middle on 2024-19 that starts with account 10, 8,050.80. It was just inadvertently, that line was just left off the original document. And I will take any questions, or if it's council's pleasure, you would adopt this ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. What's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended language to the town's purchasing policy and adoption of the resolution of 2024-14 as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the form. Oh, excuse me.
I make a motion to adopt the ordinance of 2024-19, which amends the ordinance of 2024, amending the fiscal year of 2024 budget.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. All right, we have a second. Discussion. All those in favor of adopting ordinance 2024-19, amending the ordinance 2024-04, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item E is an echo.
Yes, council, I'll take this one. So before you is a recommended amendment to our purchasing policy here in the town of Mills River. Specifically, as you can see within the purchasing policy itself, and as the staff report states, we have a section in there under section D around uniform guidance. And the policy states that that contracts funded with federal grant or loan funds must be procured in a manner that conforms with all applicable federal laws, policies, and standards, including those under the uniform guidance. Uh, in the aftermath, and as a result of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we're now obviously going through FEMA reimbursements and other reimbursement requirements. And what we've discovered is that although our purchasing policy itself states that we follow uniform guidance, the language within the purchasing policy that you see in red here on the document, I'm going to request that Kevin scrolls down a little bit on the screen here so people in the audience can see as well. It references that the town in 2018 passed a policy that reflected that uniform guidance at the time in 2018. Well, uniform guidance has changed multiple times with multiple different thresholds, terminology, et cetera, since that time. And so in order to follow the reimbursement requirements, FEMA requires us to follow the policies that are in place at the town level, right? And long story short, essentially the most restrictive form and following town's policies. So although our policy currently states that we follow uniform guidance, because our uniform guidance policy is from 2018, those thresholds are lower than what the current uniform guidance is. So, which right now just means that there are extra procurement hurdles that we have to follow, which the town continues to follow, and all of that is fine. That being said, we saw this as an opportunity to bring before you this change to the purchasing policy, which removes that language referencing the uniform guidance procurement policy within the town. And then by doing so, I'm also asking the town council sunset our uniform guidance procurement policy. The result of that would then be that the purchasing policy will reference the uniform guidance. So for future disasters, hopefully they don't come for quite a while, but preparing ourselves for the future, when it references uniform guidance, it'll be using the most up-to-date form of the uniform guidance and not a policy that we have internally. So that's essentially what this is doing. It does not change our, we follow a very restrictive procurement policy here. In fact, the purchasing policy itself still says that we need to follow anything over $1,000 right now. Still do our best to get 3 bids moving forward. There may be some other updates to this purchasing policy as we move forward with Craft HR, but right now, trying to plan for the future as we get towards the winter, potential, winter storms, et cetera. This was one step to help make sure our purchasing policy continues to be evergreen for the future and doesn't potentially hinder our ability to respond quickly in cases of emergencies moving forward.
Okay. Council, we've heard the explanation from town manager regarding this change to the purchasing policy. What's the pleasure?
Does this have any kind of cap on how much a purchasing expense could be?
Yes, it does. So and so I'll try to be less long-winded in my response, I promise. There are caps that the purchasing policy at the town level still has in place. As I mentioned, certain caps on, $5,000 for the town manager, unless expressly budgeted. Those kinds of elements are still in the purchasing policy. What this does under current uniform guidance, as an example, micro purchases. Our policy in 2018 has micro purchases at $3,500, where the current uniform guidance has it at $10,000. So that means those areas where we don't necessarily have to have competitive bidding. Now, again, our purchasing policy still states that we need to do everything we can, but the uniform guidance has raised that threshold. What's called the simplified acquisition threshold was up to $150,000. That is now up to $250,000. And so, again, requiring minimum of 3 bids, following competitive bidding practices, et cetera. Our policy still states anything over 1,000. And for the state of North Carolina, there's a threshold of 90,000. So we're still beholden to those more restrictive policies. So to answer your question, yes, it's raising the threshold. In practice, there's not a lot of change that's going to be affecting us in the work that we do on a day-to-day basis when it comes to these types of procurement policies. But those thresholds will be, the uniform guidance, as the uniform guidance changes, this policy will adjust with it, or organically, instead of us having to go and update it ourselves.
Okay.
I guess for further clarification, or if you'll dumb it down so I understand. So any changes that the federal government have with their purchasing policy, that'll affect only how we deal with the federal government. It won't affect how the town operates with its other outside, non-federal purchases.
Exactly, yeah. So as of right now, it's following federal grants and federal loans specifically. And again, that's just where those thresholds are. As of right now, the purchasing policy still states, like, as I mentioned, any contract over $1,000, we need to do our best effort to get it, to get 3 bids. This just changes how we may do our formal bidding process, the sealed bidding processes, et cetera, because those thresholds have changed at the federal level. Yeah, to answer your question, yes.
All right, council, any thoughts on the matter?
If I may, I'll just provide one final thing, which is when this policy was adopted in 2018, the goal of this policy was to follow uniform guidance. And in its current form, we do not. So actually, by making this change, we will come back into adherence with uniform guidance, which was the original intent of this policy, this section of the policy to begin with. So if it's not, if it's council's choosing to not move forward with it, we may come back at a future time to update this, because we will actually not be following uniform guidance thresholds as it is originally written.
We have a first. Is there a second? Second. James with the second. Is there any discussion regarding this policy change? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And that concludes the items of our regular agenda. I guess I'd open up to town manager. Is there other business you wish to bring up for the council tonight?
I just wanted to quickly thank council for the appointment of Patty Brown to town clerk, and I just want to also provide my congratulations to you as well. So thank you all.
And then I would ask the council, do you have any other business you wish to bring up tonight? Meeting? Well, I would like to recognize in the audience, we have Councilman-elect Kimball, and he's present. I guess Colonel Moore's not here, is he? Okay. Anyway, I want to publicly congratulate you and welcome you back and wish you the best, and look forward to having you lead our town.
We also have, former council member Randy Austin.
Even more importantly, the Honorable Randy Austin is in our presence, so thank you for coming tonight, Randy. If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you, Chase. Sandra, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.